Hi, my name is Cody Hosterman, and I'll be presenting the FlashArray Workflow Package for vRealize Orchestrator. I'll show you how to create a volume. So I have vRealize Orchestrator 7 running, and I have my workflow package installed. So let's say we wanted to create a new volume. We could run the create FlashArray volume workflow, but running it by itself will not work. We need to authenticate a session. So I'll show you how to do this. So we can run the create FlashArray REST session. We choose a FlashArray that's already been added, and then we give it our username and password. This will authenticate the REST session to that FlashArray. The session's been created and successfully returned. So now, what if we try to run our create new volume workflow? We'll choose that same FlashArray. We'll give our volume a name. And then we'll give it a capacity. And submit it. So we look at the return from this workflow, we'll see that it didn't actually do anything. There's a null response. So why is that? So the sessions that are created by that workflow are limited to inside of its own workflow or its parent workflow. Since they've been run as separately different workflow, the session did not pass. This is security design. So what we need to do is create a new workflow. So we'll create FA volume. And now we need to add our authentication workflow into it as well as our create volume. So we'll go to our Pure Storage Workflows and find our create REST session. We'll select that and add it in. So now those sessions all have variables, inputs and outputs. We need to configure them properly inside of this workflow. So you can see this workflow takes in a REST host, a username and password, and then spits out an output of the result, the API token, and the session ID itself. So we need all these variables, so we're going to automatically promote them to inputs and outputs for this actual workflow we've created. So now you see in the Inputs tab we have the same inputs as well as the outputs. Now we want to actually create the volume. So let's add that workflow in as well. So we add the create volume, and we'll do the same thing. We'll run the setup wizard and look at its inputs and outputs. You can see it also needs a REST host. That's already there, so it's not going to create a new input. But it does need a volume name and a volume size, so those will be automatically added as inputs. It also has its own result, but we want a better name that explains it, so I'm going to change it to vol result. So I note it's different from the original result of that session creation. So now I'll promote those new variables. So when you select the REST host, it'll be passed into both the session and the create volume. As you can see here, it's being passed into that create volume from the input parameters, as well as the volume name and size. And the vol result is what's being spit out from the create volume. We have all of our inputs now. These will need to be populated. And we look at our presentation. If you want, you can go and give it additional color for when you run the wizard, so saying information about how you want to name the volume or something like that. For this purposes, we'll skip all of that. Let's go ahead and save our workflow, and let's run it. So first we have to choose our FlashArray REST object, so we'll go navigate to that. And now both of those workflows in here are going to use that. So they'll be passed into both of those child workflows. Give it our username and password, a name for the volume we want to create, and a size. So we'll choose 8 terabytes. And hit submit. This will start the workflow. So if we zoom out here, we can see our logs. And we'll zoom back in, we can see, hey, it got the token, it created the session, and at the bottom there you can see it created that volume, returning in a JSON response the information about the volume that we created. So if we go over to our FlashArray GUI and look at our volume listing, we can see that that volume, VRO volume, was created. And we can see the underlying details to verify the fact that it was. This has been a demonstration of combining session creation workflows with create volumes to provision a new volume on the FlashArray from vRealize Orchestrator. Thank you.